Welcome to AI or Die, Week 34, released Saturday the 22nd of August 2026. This week I held the release as I was puzzled with the Stripe OpenRouter announcement. I was confused and wanted to read about it more. Let us begin. I asked the AI for the fastest route. It scheduled a steering committee. And to be fair, the sketch in front of you is doing real router work, checking task complexity, cost, speed, reliability, policy, and availability before deciding which model gets the job. Apparently, the shortest path between a request and an answer now includes governance. Top story 1 is unusual because the headline is not that a model got faster. OpenAI says preliminary evidence suggests an upcoming model called Astra may meet its critical cybersecurity capability threshold. The company temporarily slowed scaling and included a 2-week pause in reinforcement learning training on its latest deployable models, while it hardened and red-teamed research environments and expanded monitoring. That is materially different from last week's controlled access daybreak story. This time, the lab says capability changed the pace of training itself. OpenAI says the largest planned frontier reinforcement learning run remains on hold while safeguards are strengthened. The lesson is that an operational safety boundary only becomes real when it can stop the production process, not merely warn after deployment. Top story 2 is the routing layer becoming strategic. On the 19th of August, Stripe agreed to acquire OpenRouter, which routes and optimizes token usage across more than 400 models from more than 80 providers. OpenRouter evaluates requests against variables such as task complexity, price, speed, and reliability. Stripe already optimizes payment routing. Now it is buying a layer that can make similar economic choices across AI inference. This does not mean model quality stops mattering. It means the decision about which model receives each request can itself become a platform, a margin lever, and a control point. Top story 3 moves control into concrete, power contracts, and guarantees. Reuters reports NVIDIA committed up to $105 billion in guarantees supporting OpenAI's 20-year lease at the PORT Spike Data Center project in Ohio, while NVIDIA will also invest $1.5 billion in SB Energy. The planned site is expected to reach 8 gigawatts, with 800 megawatts targeted by 2028. The guarantee is not the full project cost. It supports key lease, power, and property value obligations. The important business point is that AI infrastructure competition is no longer only about buying chips. Suppliers are helping underwrite the buildings and power commitments that create future demand for those chips. This week's jargon is model router. Think of a dispatcher who receives a job and decides which specialist should handle it. A model router does the same for AI requests. It can choose among models or providers based on capability, cost, speed, reliability, or policy. Stripe's OpenRouter deal makes the term worth knowing because routing is becoming an economic control layer. The router does not make a weak model smarter. It decides which model gets the work and under what constraints. General Intelligence Board opens with Claude Opus 5 Max at 63.1. Effort variants dominate the summit, so one lab can occupy several rows without representing several independent model families. Grok joins Sol on 60.9 in the rounded snapshot, while GLM 5.3 also enters the visible top 12. The frontier remains tightly packed, which is why a small leaderboard gap is evidence, not a procurement decision. The coding board turns over with Claude Opus 5 Max first at 1691 ELO and Kimi K3 second. QN moves into third at 1669, and Grok enters the top 5 at 1629. Open challengers now occupy several visible positions, making coding a more multi-vendor frontier than the general board. The agentic tool board follows. Claude Opus 5 High leads at 12.47% net improvement. Kimi climbs to 4th ahead of GPT 5.6 Sol X High. Tool use is not raw intelligence. This benchmark asks how much external actions improve task outcomes. MCP is the connection layer in the architecture model or agent, then MCP, then tools, applications, and data, then action. MCP standardizes access. It does not inherently make the model smarter. 8-way moving under the same foundation matters because 8-way standardizes agent-to-agent collaboration while MCP standardizes agent-to-tool and data access. Standard rails increase governance pressure. Permissions, identity, audit, discovery, and reliable execution become part of agent quality. Hard reasoning stays stable. Sol remains first at 91.7 on the selected LiveBench baseline. Kimi holds second at 90.7. 1 point behind. No verified change appears in the top 12 against the authorized prior snapshot, so we leave the board still. Vision understanding joins the taxonomy this week because seeing and reasoning over images, documents, and charts is materially different from creating images. Fable leads visual understanding at 1315. QN shares the second tier at 1301 with a Claude thinking variant, and several confidence ranges overlap. This board measures understanding, not generation. It is about reading and reasoning over visual inputs, not making pictures. Image generation shifts again. GPT Image 2 Medium holds first at 1381. MAI Image 2.6 enters second at 1336 and pushes several existing entries down. GPT Image 2 keeps first, but 5 providers populate the top 6, which keeps this category commercially diverse. Video generation adds Cadence 2.5 using the latest published Arena snapshot dated 14th August. Minimax H3 stays first at 1489. Cadence 2.5 enters second at 1484, only 5 points behind. Rank differences remain narrow, so pairwise preference scores should not be treated as universal quality guarantees. The voice ranking flips at the top. Simba moves ahead of QWen at 1239 ELO versus 1237. 2 points separate the leaders, and voice remains a close contest where accent, language, latency, licensing, and controllability still need direct listening tests. Patrick Collison, Stripe's co-founder and chief executive, put the economic argument in one short line on the 19th of August. Tokens are the central currency for companies building with AI. The quote matters because Stripe is not buying another frontier model. It is buying the routing layer that decides how that currency is spent across hundreds of models and providers. The mood this week is not model versus model. It is control over allocation. Who chooses the model, who sets the objective, and who captures the economics around the choice. DeepSeek Vision joins the API with the experimental V4 Flash Vision model, and its Files API lets developers upload an image once and reference it later by file ID instead of sending the same image again. The practical signal is cheaper, cleaner multimodal agent loops, though the model is explicitly experimental. Anthropic's agent stack goes general as computer use. The Skills API and the Files API become generally available, while a new browser use tool adds page structure-aware web interaction. For product teams, computer action, reusable expertise, and working files are converging into one production agent platform. OpenAI's teen experience adds protections by putting users estimated under 18, or stating ages 13 to 17, into a distinct ChatGPT experience with stronger built-in safeguards. Age-aware AI design is moving from policy wording into the product itself. Zero data retention expands to frontier models for eligible API customers, while OpenAI previews private safety processing for September. Privacy and safety are increasingly architecture choices as well as contract terms, and buyers still need to check eligibility and legal exceptions. ChatGPT ads expand across Europe toward 31 markets, OpenAI's largest expansion so far. Conversion optimization, geo-targeting, custom audiences, and measurement make conversational discovery a serious media channel, while user trust remains the constraint. Asana says 5 years became 2 weeks when Codex helped remove its legacy enzyme testing system in 2 calendar weeks for about $12,000 in model and infrastructure cost, compared with a roughly $6 million prior staffing estimate. OpenAI and Asana both caution that not every multi-year project will compress this dramatically. Gemini enters Google Chat from the 26th of August for eligible workspace users, combining search across Gmail, Drive, and Calendar with content creation, catch-up, tasks, and events. The customer experience signal is fewer context switches and a more action-oriented collaboration surface. Slides recording gets vids directly inside Google Slides, producing a shareable link with transcript editing and voiceover generation. For marketing and training teams, the distance from deck to polished video is shrinking, but the output still needs editorial review. China Mobile says tokens become telecom packages as it moves from provincial pilots toward nationally unified token pricing for consumer and enterprise markets. The strategic signal is important for operators. Inference consumption is being packaged as a familiar billable product rather than sold only through developer cloud accounts. Higgsfield raises $400 million at a $5.4 billion valuation, according to Reuters. The funding says creative AI for marketing and media is maturing into a heavily financed software category rather than a novelty tool. Cerebra's launches CS4 with its Nexus architecture and 3 pluggable wafer-scale chips. The company says the system design cuts components by 50%. Inference competition is increasingly about deployment speed and system simplicity, as well as raw chip performance. Guidelights Containment gets a scorecard across 5 frontier labs using its own 6-criterion methodology. Reuters reports OpenAI and Anthropic at C+, and Meta at F. This is one nonprofit's framework, not a universal safety standard, but third-party containment ratings are becoming a trust signal buyers may have to understand. Ace Robotics says store deployments scale tenfold, from roughly 1,000 to 10,000 locations within 2 years, after raising more than $100 million. The strategic bottleneck is data. Useful embodied AI needs large quantities of real-world action experience, not only bigger language models. Unitree's shares finish far above the IPO price in a material follow-up to last week's oversubscription story. Reuters Breakingviews says the debut closed 629% above the IPO price, and the retail tranche had been oversubscribed nearly 8,000 times. The first-day move is not proof of operating value. Finally, AI blocks pressure partner choices. Reuters reported China urging respect for each country's digital sovereignty after a report that the United States would ask countries to choose sides in the AI race. Reuters did not report a UAE ultimatum. The signal is broader. Model, cloud, chip, and standards choices are becoming geopolitical ecosystem choices. Closer to home, the concrete story is FedAI. On the 17th of August, a UAE Federal Agentic AI Technology and Data Workshop presented FedAI as the common technology infrastructure for federal entities adopting and developing agentic AI solutions. The National AI Gateway is designed as one secure access point for managing AI applications and services, while its inference layer can use commercial models, sovereign-hosted open-source models, and future models added later. That turns strategic optionality from an abstract geopolitical principle into architecture, common governance without locking every government workload to one model source. The wider UAE government target remains to transform 50% of government sectors, services, and operations toward agentic AI within 2 years. For teams here, the signal is that model choice, sovereign hosting, security, and governance are being designed together rather than as separate procurement decisions. The month ahead in chronological order starts on August 26 with NVIDIA's fiscal 2027 second quarter results. This is the market watchpoint for AI data center demand, capacity expansion, and infrastructure financing. From August 31st through September 3rd, Deep Fest runs in Riyadh, focused on generative AI, robotics, governance, security, and national AI strategy. The next primary watchpoint is the Agentic AI Foundation's AgentCon plus MCP-Con sequence. Shanghai on September 6th and 7th, Tokyo on September 10th and 11th, and Amsterdam on September 17th and 18th. Its focus is the agent stack itself. MCP, agent protocols, security, orchestration, observability, and interoperability. On September 9th in Dubai, IDC, GBM, and IBM hold the Agentic Enterprise at Jumeirah Mina Al Salam, focused on the move from pilot projects to production, with emphasis on enterprise AI infrastructure, automation, and governance. Riyadh Global AI Week follows from September 14th through 17th, combining UNESCO's Global Forum on the Ethics of AI with SDAIA's Global AI Summit, or GAIN. Its focus is governance, sovereign AI, national strategy, and international policy coordination. From September 15th through 17th, the AI Infra Summit in Santa Clara focuses on the physical layer, chips, interconnects, networking, storage, data centers, and inference infrastructure. Over those same dates, Dreamforce runs in San Francisco and on Salesforce Plus, focused on the agentic enterprise, product launches, workflow automation, and hands-on agent deployment. And on September 23rd and 24th, MetaConnect returns in Menlo Park with a live-stream focus on AI, wearables, and the developer platform. 3 other verified events are worth keeping on the radar even though they do not fit the main screen without shrinking the type. IFA Berlin from September 4th through 8th, which matters for consumer AI hardware and devices. The AI Summit Australia in Melbourne from September 7th through 9th, focused on enterprise adoption and the regional ecosystem. And the GCC AI and Digital Oil and Gas Conference at ADNEC Abu Dhabi from September 15th through 17th, focused on industrial and energy sector AI. A 4th regional watchpoint arrives even sooner, the Smart Data and AI Summit Saudi Arabia on August 26th and 27th in Riyadh, focused on data platforms, analytics, and applied AI. The editorial rule is simple. These dates are confirmed. Specific product announcements are not. Watch the programs, then wait for the evidence. The winner this week is the off switch that actually gets used. OpenAI says it paused frontier training, and Google is adding controls that can suspend agent access and require human confirmation. The loser is control in name only, a button without knowledge, visibility, authority, or time to intervene. That is the whole control layer lesson. Tell us what we missed. Until next Saturday, AI or die. Set the boundary. Verify the handoff. Back next Saturday.